When I think of the name Brandon Winter, much comes to mind. Mostly his good looks, his demeanor, just all around sexiness. Brandon is a good man with good memories, good trips, good sports teams. Brandon is one of my best friends.
Thumbs up.
So one of my favorite Brandon stories is when we were in Texas, and he was pretty young, probably like 9 or 10, and we were in a park and he was chasing squirrels, and he chased this one squirrel right into a bush, and he was kind of like staring it down, waiting for it to come out so we could chase it again. And there was another squirrel that went to the bush, and those two squirrels started fighting, and so there was like a lot of wrestling going on, and I think he thought the squirrel was like coming out to attack him, and so right when those squirrels started fighting, he like got super scared, turned around, ran down the hill super fast, like screaming at the top of his lungs, and his face was hilarious, like it was pure terror, and I just remember that so vividly, him being so scared of those squirrels. So that's like always been my favorite Brandon story growing up. Also another one, my mom said he couldn't have orange juice one day, and he started crying, and he took an orange and shoved a straw in it. So that's also kind of one of my favorite Brandon stories, because so creative. But super excited for Brandon and Taylor. Can't wait for Taylor to be a part of our family, and just really excited to celebrate you guys. So congrats.
I had the privilege of coaching Brandon in high school, and he was a pleasure to coach. He's one of my all-time favorites. Brandon and my son, Chatty Boy, were buddies growing up. They were running around the house all the time, playing games and pranks on each other. And I think Chatty Boy pushed it a little bit too far one time. And all of a sudden I heard this stampede going up the front staircase at our house. Chad goes running into his bedroom. He slams the door. You think that door is going to stop Brandon? No. Brandon goes barreling through the door handle, the door breaks. Of course, I have to fix it. But Brandon, we love you. We're so excited that you found Taylor. Have a great and special time. And we're really excited for you. Thanks.
Hey, Brandon Taylor, what's up? Congratulations, you did it. We all remember, I think, the first time that Brandon and Taylor hung out at that dope party at Alexa's. And I just remember, honestly, like looking at the two of them, and they were talking in the corner or something, and I was like, you know, I could see them dating. You know, some people just kind of have that vibe when you see them. You're like, yeah, I could see them together. So that was a fun night. And then my favorite thing about Brandon and Taylor was if at Olivet, obviously we play a lot of games, and you basically knew like, all right, let's have a game night, that Brandon and Taylor would always be down, or they would already be having a game night. I think it's like a winter thing. And I love the competition and how just mafia and everything always gets intense. And with Brandon personally, obviously one of my best friends, and Taylor, you're awesome too, awesome to talk to. And my favorite thing about Brandon, obviously good, awesome Christian, most importantly. Second most importantly, right behind is huge sports guy. Always knew he could talk sports, but always down to go to Illinois games with me, and I really appreciated that. And we were just able to talk sports, and yeah, just two awesome people. Congrats again. Love you guys. Pumped for the wedding.
Brandon, what are you doing?
Tanning.
So because I grew up with Brandon, I have a lot of weird stories of him, but Taylor has a lifetime to learn of Brandon's weirdness, so I won't get into all that. I'll let her figure it out for herself. But Taylor, I did want you to know a couple things about Brandon before you marry him. One of them being that he may steal your clothes at some point and try to wear them. When we were younger, we were headed out the door to go to school, and right as we were walking out the door, I realized Brandon had on my capris. Because they were capris, they looked like pants for him, but they still just had a little bit of a girlish look to the pants, so they didn't quite look right on Brandon. And I said something, and his face turned bright red, and he booked it upstairs and changed and did not talk about it since. So fair warning, keep your clothes to yourself. Don't let Brandon get a hold of them. Another one is, you may know this about Brandon, but he's not a huge lover of eggs. So when we were younger, I used to make scrambled eggs like every morning, and Brandon hates the smell of eggs, like hates them. So literally every morning, Brandon would come downstairs and start crying because he was forced to eat breakfast in the same vicinity of the eggs. Not even in the same table, but just within the room. So he would cry and run upstairs and try to eat his breakfast up there until he got in trouble and was forced to eat it downstairs. So if you ever want to eat eggs at your house, you might want to get some Kleenex for Brandon because it could get ugly.
My thing is shaking! Shake your booty, not your boots! Shake your booty, my friend!
Hey Brandon, hey Taylor, congratulations. I was asked to share a memory or story of Brandon, and what immediately came to mind was when we went fishing about the summer before you proposed, and we would always go out to Agate Lake, and we never would catch anything, but I remember our conversations were always rich and rewarding, and I knew that you two would not only be a blessing to each other, but to others as well. And Brandon, you're such an amazing friend, you're a thoughtful individual, and most importantly, you're a man of God. And I know you'll carry those things with you into your relationship, into your marriage. And I'm so excited for both of you. So once again, just congratulations and have a great day.
Hi everyone, so just a little story time about Brandon. Taylor, if you ever have any blemish on your face or anything like that, just be prepared for some lovely comments. I one time walked into the Winters house and I had a nice giant zit on my forehead. And everyone says hi, and I walk in and Brandon says, "Lindsay, is that a zit or a giant volcano?" And I was sad, crying, because it was embarrassing, but now we can laugh over it. But look forward to that. I have countless memories of Brandon, us wrestling or fighting over something, or a pillow fight. I've had pillow fights with Brandon when I had braces and cut my lip open, made me bleed. Not that he's mean, just kind of a brotherly, sisterly thing. He's the only brother I've really ever had. And countless times where we've been fighting or wrestling and he pins me down and farts on my head. That probably even has happened up to last year, who knows? Just some little warnings about Brandon, some fun memories. Yeah, love you both.
I like when Brandon plays with you. Me. I like when Brandon plays with me and throws me up in the air. Congrats, Brandon and Taylor.
We love Brandon!
I have another little story to tell about Brandon, and this one happened probably when he was around 10. We were going someplace, and Brandon and I were in the back seat of the car, and Brandon looked at my hands and said, "Grandma, what is wrong with your hands?" And I said, "Well, Brandon, there's nothing wrong with my hands. I'm just getting old." And he said, "Oh, no, Grandma, you're not old." And I said, "Well, Brandon, I am getting old. And someday I might need somebody to help me. Would you do that?" And he said, "Oh, yes, I'll take care of you." And I just wanted Taylor to hear this story because I think that she might have some involvement in it soon, because I wanted to let you know that we're putting our house up for sale, and we plan to move in with you as soon as you two get married and have a home of your own. So I just wanted to give you a little warning. You have something special to look forward to.
Well, if it isn't old bootstrap Brando and his new bride, Taylor Winter. Not sure when you guys will be seeing this, before or after ceremony, but congratulations anyways. You guys are married. One thing that I love about Brando, obviously he's really nice and he can be funny sometimes. But something I'd really admire about him is that his ability to connect with anyone and make friends with anyone. We'd always make jokes about how he was friends with everyone on campus or always knew someone, which was actually probably true. Just his ability to strike up conversation and have that connection is just something that I still admire and will always admire. One of my favorite stories with Brandon is talking about how one of our friends just always seemed to appear like out of nowhere, and so we were like joking about this, and we noticed that like nobody else is on campus, which is really weird because it's like the middle of the day. We don't see anyone else, and we finally turn the corner as we're having this conversation, and then we see that classmate just standing there, and he's like just like looking at us like he was expecting us to walk around the corner, and we both just started dying laughing, and it was one of the hardest times I've ever laughed in my entire life. Good times. Well, congratulations, you guys. I love you both and wish you the best.
Hey, Brandon and Taylor. We're excited for your wedding. We're excited that we're going to be in your wedding and be flower girls, and we like when you visit.
Love you.
Love you.
Brandon Winter, my ping pong nemesis, my spike ball buddy, and my favorite tandem kayaking partner. Where do I begin? There's a lot that I could say right now, but I'll just leave it at this. Whatever we're doing, whether it's board games or rafting down the John Day or hitting the slopes of Mount Shasta, it's never a dull moment. The friendship that we've shared has been awesome, and I look forward to it for years to come.
This is our bed. This is our bed.
Brandon Todd Winter. That man is a big, big body. Some of my favorite stories from college are Brandon using that big body. Like when he trucked Christian in my room when they're running at each other head to head and just broke Christian's neck. Or when he busted down the door of Bon Vivant and clothed my golf outfit for the next few years. On a more serious note though, Brandon was one of the first people that I met on the floor at Olivet when I got to college, and you could just tell that he was different than all the other guys there. His heart for God was so evident, and he really brought that into our friend group. I never had a friend group in high school growing up that openly talked about faith in God, and he was a big reason that that became a big part of our friend group going throughout college, which was a huge thing for me in growing my own personal faith too. Brandon has been such a good friend to me throughout the 4 years, always being there when I need him, staying up late with me to play GTA, Rocket League, and always going to golf with me, even if he didn't like it at the time, but now I know he loves golf. But I'm so excited to see what him and Taylor do in the future, wherever they're planted. I love you guys so much, and can't wait to see everything that you guys are going to be doing.
Hi there, Taylor. A few things to tell you about Brandon. The first thing you need to know is I've literally known Brandon since before he was born. Deanna and I were pregnant together, and Brandon was born 4 days before Lindsay. And I think Lindsay has never lived that down. So it's caused a lot of fun for us as families growing our kids together. One thing I can tell you is be sure to never go to Mexican food on Sunday afternoons, because if you do, Brandon will be in tears. He always cried when we went out to Mexican food on Sunday afternoons because it would take too long and he couldn't get home to watch sports. So bring tissue with you if you go out to eat on Sundays. Also, this might be a little embarrassing for Brandon, but Brandon used to love to go hide when he had to poop. So he would say he was doing his work and go hide behind a couch or a chair, just so he could do his work. So if he tells you that, you might want to think about what he's doing. So we're so excited for you guys. We love you both, and God bless you guys on your journey together.
Hey Brandon, well, there was a lot of high school stories from back in the day, but one of them that stood out to me was when we were at a mandatory job fair. It was kind of just a run out the clock situation, and you know, we're trying to have as much fun as we can, but you can only have so much fun at a job fair. Each booth would have candy. Okay, so there'd be candy all along the booths, and we asked if we could have the candy that's on the booth because the event's over. You know, we got these empty bags that they, I guess, expected us to fill with flyers or whatever, but we didn't care naturally. Sure enough, they're like, oh yeah, have as much as you want. You filled your bag so full of candy, and the amount of joy that was on your face from that was incredible. And it just completely redeemed this boring, long event. And so that's just a classic story that I'll never forget. I've always appreciated your friendship, and one of my best friends in high school. And yeah, I think the things that I really appreciate the most is just when you were in high school, you didn't compromise on your faith. And, you know, you always took your faith in God seriously. You always loved God, and that showed through your actions. And so that's something that I really appreciate about you. And also just your love for people. Yeah, you just very genuine love for people. I appreciate your friendship, and I'm really proud of the man you've become, and just really looking forward for this next chapter in your life with Taylor. And yeah, man, so love you, bro.
And three times the amount because Darren Fountain was hurt the entire year.
Brandon, you do realize
you don't know your own team. Oh, this guy played 4.
So stories about Brandon. Quite a few funny stories. Past 4 years of college. One of the funniest ones is probably what our group message is named after, the guys from Olivet. It's called Aaron's Bed Friends. We go to my house for the weekend in Indiana, and I'm pretty particular about nobody getting in my bed, pretty much everywhere, including school. And as soon as we got there, of course, Brandon runs up to my room and jumps on my bed, and the wood bed frame cracks and breaks. So while I was there, in the next few weeks, I slept on a mattress on the floor. So that's why it's called Aaron's Bed Friends. But a lot of good times with Brandon. Slept in the same room together, bunk beds across from each other, and when he would get up and jump down from his bed, it was like my alarm. It was kind of like an earthquake happening. And yeah, Bennett and I also took pictures when Brandon and Taylor got engaged, so I suppose I'll just leave you guys with a photo from that.